What are some ways to make your website stand out in dental? There are so many dentists, you know this. It's so competitive, and just standing out is such a big deal for anybody, and it's true for dentists as well. Well, my guest today has got some ideas about how you can do just that. I'm Carl White, principal at Mark Advisory Group, which is a healthcare marketing agency, and I'm also the host of PracticeCare. And the mission for both is the same, and that's to help private practice owners stay private. Not only is that what they want, but I really believe, and I really think it's true, that care is better when it's just you and your provider sitting at the table trying to figure out what's best for you. And nobody else is secretly whispering in the provider's ear what their agenda is, whether it's a hospital, a health system, owners in faraway lands, whoever they might be. When it's just you and your doctor sitting at the table, care's got a much better chance to be better. And today, my guest is Gary Bohringer. Gary is the owner of Bohringer Creative, and he's a creative marketing strategist who helps small and medium-sized businesses produce measurable results via direct marketing. After 10 years in corporate marketing in the travel and hospitality industries, Gary founded Bohringer Creative in 1993, and he's been doing it continuously since. It's an innovative marketing agency that helps organizations of all sizes, from small one-person operations all the way up to global corporations, develop attention-grabbing marketing campaigns that bring brands to life and motivate customers to action. And Gary's one of my go-to sources whenever I need a website done. Gary, thank you for coming on PracticeCare.
Thanks, Carl.
So fill in your background a bit for us. Just tell us a bit more. Bios only tell so much of the story, but tell us a bit more about you so we can get to know you a bit better.
Sure. I started out actually in sales and marketing way back in the day with Midway Airlines, and I
Midway.
worked yes. And I worked on marketing campaigns on the client side, and I wanted to work in a more creative role. So I ended up leaving that job, going back to school and earning a second bachelor's in advertising art and graphic design.
Okay.
From there, I went on to a magazine, and I went on to a advertising agency. I worked in-house corporate, and I worked at a large national safety organization before going off on my own.
What is safety organization? What does that mean?
I used to work for the National Safety Council.
Oh, okay.
In creative services.
Got it. Okay.
So it's almost like an oxymoron, but yes.
But there you were.
But there I was.
Merging creative and safety all at the same time.
Yeah, the creative safety. That's yeah, that's what we did. So anyway, so I just grew the business. People liked working with me, and I started freelancing, and then I decided, give it a whirl and see where I'm at. So I ended up moving on, going full time, and I developed a relationship with a client of mine that had the second largest direct marketing agency in Chicago and had since moved to New York. And I started doing some direct mail with him. And we did work for an organization called DOCS, Dentists for Conscious Sedation was the organization. I used to do all their direct marketing, events, marketing, and things like that. And then I picked up work with the Las Vegas Institute, which is another dental organization that specialized in cosmetic dentistry. Actually did ads for Cosmopolitan magazine back in the day.
Wow.
It was kind of interesting. And I also did work for another group called RAMP, and that was a dental organization out in Philadelphia. So that started me on this path of working with dentists.
Got it.
And I actually started and still work now with a dental practice that's the #1 Invisalign provider in the United States. He's my client.
Okay.
And he has a coaching program, so he coaches other dentists on growing their Invisalign business. And when they need marketing support, he refers business to me. So he's a great resource for me. So that's actually how I got involved in dentistry. It
Okay.
was
It's been a while.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
it's been like over 20 years
Wow.
of, dental related things. Oh, I also worked with another company called Internet Dental Alliance.
I wonder what they
And
do.
yeah, they do pre-made cookie cutter websites. So
Okay.
for your dental practice, and their business model is you pay a monthly fee, so you
Mm-hmm.
don't pay for the upfront design, but they own all your assets.
Mm. And
So,
by assets, you mean all the wording, all the pictures, all the
everything. So, like if
everything,
you decide, hey, I'm not going to stay on with you anymore, you have no website, you have no domain name, you have no website, you have no content, you have
even the
nothing.
domain. Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a business model. It's not
Mm-hmm.
a business model I would
Yeah.
like to use, but
Yeah.
and it works. A lot of dentists that are starting out don't have a lot of money and they want to have a
Yeah.
presence, and it's there. So
Yep.
that's what they do.
So, about how many dental clients would you say you have today?
I would say we're over 50.
Okay.
So,
Okay. That's a
mhm,
good number. That's a healthy
yeah.
number. So, let's get into it. Dental websites. What do you see that makes a dental website stand out from the crowd?
Um, they have to be professional looking.
Okay.
So, and that I know that's kind of a loose phrase. So, what I would say is you want something that looks organized, clinical,
Mm-hmm.
um, styled nicely,
Mm-hmm.
that speaks to your brand values, and it has to be easy to get, the information. So, for example, about 50 to 55% of visitors to your site probably are looking at it on mobile. So how does that look on mobile?
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that's really important
Mm-hmm.
to address. So how does your mobile business look? How does your desktop business look? And there's a certain process that I utilize when building a website
Mm-hmm.
that I try to incorporate on everybody's site. So I want to have everything, because most people don't go past your front page, your landing page.
It's true.
So what I want to be able to do is I want to have people at a very quick glance say, "Oh my gosh, I have a toothache. I have, I cracked a tooth, whatever, right?"
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you provide emergency dental care, right? That should be right on your homepage.
Yeah.
You want people to be able to very quickly say, "Oh, this dentist can do A, B, C, D, and E. Great.
Mm-hmm.
I need A. I'm going to them."
Mm-hmm.
And that's important in the development. Now, how it's designed and the nuanced pieces of that, that's where, you know, I come in, work with you on your brand and that kind of stuff. But there's a certain process on how everything is built, and that's what I utilize on the sites that I develop.
Okay. Now, the next question I have is what mistakes on dental websites do you typically inherit? And so just don't say like the opposite of what you just said. Like what types of things do you see that you go, I don't know how this ever got here? Client, doctor, dentist X, we need to undo this. Like
I
what do you see?
I would
As like a
say
caution for listeners.
I would say that a lot of dentist websites are built on ego. And
Okay.
what I mean by that is, you know, let's say a dentist is very accomplished. He's gone to, XYZ schools. He's the smartest guy, valedictorian. He's got all these credentials, and that's very important. It's a place, but sometimes they don't even have the services listed.
Really?
And
You
like a
still
home,
see that?
I
Wow.
see a lot. I see a lot of that. Or they'll put in, you know, a lot of, family pictures on their homepage and things like that. And it's wonderful. Families are wonderful. I have one. But
Me too.
but
I'm pro family.
but if I'm looking for, I'm looking for, hey, do you do X, Y, and Z? And I got to scroll through 2 pages to find that. I'm not coming to your practice. So I would say like all that great credential things could always be added to meet Dr. X.
Yeah.
And here's all his info. Here's why you want to go to him because he's so great. We could put a blurb on like the homepage, but I find that there's a big focus on some of these kinds of things. And, dentists in general are not, business guys. They're
Hmm.
dentists. They're
Hmm.
they're artists. They're experts in that field. Um, and my job is to help them fill the chair,
Right.
and that's where I would say I run into a lot of that. And sometimes I encounter um a lot of broken links, like
Hmm.
on their current site. They may have a link to a video that no longer exists because maybe
Hmm.
they bought a subscription to a service and they chose not to renew it. And then you go to this thing and it talks about dental implants and the dental implant video is not there. And you're just like,
Yeah.
and that um to a client says, "Oh, he's not really
How
up on
serious are
stuff.
they? Yeah.
Yeah, he's not up to date. He needs to, this site, if he can't keep the website up, how is he going to take care of
Yeah.
my oral health?" So
Yeah.
that's something to think about.
Yeah. And you might not like hearing that, but it's true. I want to go back to something you said about if you populate the homepage with just stuff about you, the dentist,
Hmm.
owner, about your family and your credentials in this. You said, you know what, they're not going to come to your practice. And I agree with you. But why do you say, I have my reason, but why do you say that? They're going to make patient X is going to make that leap from, you know, I don't like, family pictures too. I'm not coming at all. Why do you say that?
Well, I don't think that there isn't a place for that. I just don't think it's something. I look at your homepage as a billboard. Let's say you're driving your car down the highway
Hmm.
and you see a billboard out of the corner of your eye.
Hmm.
You have what, 5 seconds maybe to read
Maybe.
that info.
Hmm.
So when someone comes to your website, you have to grab them and engage them. And
Hmm.
what most people are looking for on a website is they're looking for, does dentist A provide service B?
Hmm.
How do I get an appointment? How do
Hmm.
I do this? So although it's important, and although that's important to have all these credentials and it's valuable, I would say for most of the population looking for a dental practice, they'll look into that maybe later after they get to meet you when they call the practice, but you need to get them to reach out to your practice. So unless you provide, and I have some dentists that are like maxillofacial surgeons. They're actually sought after because of their expertise. That can be
Hmm.
a different kind of experience. But if I'm a dentist and I'm doing family care, doing Invisalign, doing
Hmm.
veneers, things like that, these practice pieces, there's a lot of dentists that do that, and you really need to engage them early on.
Yeah. Because nobody cares about the dentist when they first encounter dentist X. They care about themselves and their own problem.
You're absolutely
And
right.
that's why, like, showing somebody a picture of your family when you first meet them. Imagine you were at some, I don't know, dinner party and you meet somebody. Hi, I'm Carl. We've never met before. Let me show you 15 pictures of my family. You'd be turned off, wouldn't you? Or let me just tell you all about me. You'd be turned off. It's the same. It's the same effect.
Exactly.
It's totally the same
Exactly.
effect. Any other kind of just, you know, big things that you and just mistakes in your opinion that you inherit? Ego is a big one, and sort of
Mhm.
how that plays out. Anything else that you see?
I would say the other thing I notice is that there's a lack of valuable content
Okay.
on dental websites. So they might say, we do this, 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 and this. So sometimes you go to a website and they'll literally have one sentence about a service.
Mm-hmm.
And those things, and that's okay. Let's say it's on your homepage, it's on your billboard. I do X, Y, and Z. Great. But if I want to just drill down a little bit, want to learn a little bit more, it's great to have a little bit of beefier content, so
Mm-hmm.
they can go in and examine and figure out, why would I go to you for this procedure over someone else? So that's good. And it also, and benefits you from a search engine optimization standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of these websites that I'm working on are not ranked. They're not getting any kind of SEO ranking. And that's and it's important to understand that a well-built, well-designed website that has good content will naturally rise from an
Mm-hmm.
SEO standpoint, because it has all the things that a search engine like Google wants to read.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a skimpy website that has very little content, or you have content, I've run into this many times, they'll have like stuff about controlled substances. We do
Mm-hmm.
nitrous oxide. I'm like, you cannot be talking about this stuff and expect that site to rank, because that is a no-no on some of these websites. So you have to think about, what does a search engine want to read and what doesn't it want to read?
Right.
So you have to make sure that you're putting in the information that makes them happy and
Okay.
feeds.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. What's a every year, we were talking about this before we start recording. Every year around November, December, the prognosticators start about what they see as big, big trends in marketing for next year.
Mhm.
Every industry has it. Some of it's real, some of it's fluff. What are you seeing? Dental websites, like what's the hot new stuff that you're seeing or that you think is valuable or that you're putting into new clients' websites?
I would say what's hot, but maybe not new,
Mhm.
is video.
Yeah.
And here's a great
Every year for
example
the
of
past 10
this.
years, video is going to be huge next year. Video,
Yeah, well, it's still
it's
it's
just like it's burning it a hole in the ground at the starting line, just waiting to
yeah,
say, but yeah.
it is. But you know what? It's I think makes people nervous. And here's I'm going to give you a couple of examples of clients of mine that do it well. I have one client that is a very big Invisalign dentist. And what he does literally is, when someone's done with their procedure, he will make a little video just from his smartphone
Hmm.
saying, "Hey, what was the experience like? Are you happy?" And they're like, "Oh, they're gushing." It's like
Hmm.
1 minute video. They're
Hmm.
happy. He's not on camera. He's just asking the question. So what I do is I'll take these videos and I'll brand them. I'll put his logo in it. I'll kind of produce it a little bit. I'll put an
Hmm.
end screen. Nothing heavy duty. You don't need Cecil B. DeMille to make this.
Right.
It's not a
That's
big
right.
deal. For those of you that are old enough to know who Cecil B. DeMille is, right? Or Steven Spielberg. How about that?
There you go.
But but the point is
Taika
that
Waikiki.
yeah, it can be done very easily in the moment, and it could be fun, and people like this. And so what I'll do with these videos is I'll promote them for the client on Instagram and on their Facebook page and things like this. And people see that and they're like, "Oh yeah, I can relate to,
Hmm?
you know, Joe, because I've got, oh yeah, look at how easy it was." And it's just very easy. It's not too difficult. So I would encourage dentists to get used to that, and
Hmm.
to blow their own horn. This guy's pretty good. He
Yep.
likes to, and I have another dentist out on the East Coast, and she is like brilliant at this. I mean, she's texting me videos like every week, like, "Oh my gosh, we just had this for so and so's anniversary." And she's like her an employee,
Yeah,
like,
right. The
"Oh,
juices start
cheer
flowing
on
and
so and
yeah.
so, they just had their, 10-year anniversary." So sometimes she just texts me pictures and I'll make a little slideshow and I'll put little confettis coming down. And it's
Hmm.
just a fun thing. And it's just it and I'll tell you, when I look at the statistics on this, like they get like 25 heart icons. They're getting
Hmm.
people love this stuff.
Hmm.
So there's different ways to do it. Can be pretty easy. And everybody's got a camera in their pocket now, so it's not too difficult to do. And if it's not your thing, Let's say you're the dentist, you just absolutely hate. Maybe you have a hygienist that'll ask the questions.
Yeah.
That's all you really want to do. You just want to get that in the moment experience.
Yeah. Videos last forever. I mean, not forever, but a very long time. You can re-promote them. In other words, so much mileage you can get out of it. Just a very straightforward video, even one of them. Yeah. So video, it's not new, but it's still very important. Any other big trends you're seeing now that you're thinking to yourself, you know what, I'm going to start putting these into, I'm going to start, showing every dental client these to see if they
Well,
want
one
to,
of the
because
other trends I would say is I would really encourage um, dental practices to pay attention to their Google My Business listing because that goes hand in hand with their
true.
website.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many of them are neglected.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is if and I do when I do social media for dental clients, what I typically do is I'll always promote something whenever I do a post. I'll always put a post to their Google My Business listing. It keeps that information fresh, keeps it
Mm-hmm.
going, and to pay attention to reviews.
Mm-hmm.
That's another issue that dentists
Some are really
some
on
are
board, and
really good at.
some are, it's like polarized, and some are just no way, never, either as a policy choice or just as a, I don't
Mhm.
know. But yeah, it's very sort of it's either you're on or you're not.
Yeah, but when you think about your audience, and let's say you've got you know, let's say you're under 35,
Mm-hmm.
um, I would say that's probably the one of the number one places people go when they're picking a new dental practice. What do the reviews look like?
Yep.
Am I getting good reviews? Are they pretty decent? I think
Yeah.
that's a huge thing. So I think that needs to be paid attention to. And I would say that's a that may not be a popular trend, but I think it's something often overlooked and ignored. And
It
it's really
is.
huge.
Yeah. I love doing reviews. So there's a couple of things. One is they have to be new. You have to have some reviews that are new, and new means 3 months or, newer. There's a fair amount of decent research out there that says it's believable when you hear this. The older a review is, the less it's paid attention to. That's very believable. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Research, he's coming back and saying, yeah, at around 3 months is when that discounting begins. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, and this is a sad stat, but I believe it because I've read it from so many different sources, is people trust reviews from strangers really about as much as they trust review or recommendations from their own friends and family. I mean, how sad is that? And you can scoff on it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's true. Um, and so, remember the everything you're saying, your website, your Google listing reviews, even if you've been doing this for 10 or 15 or 20 years, the patient who has never heard of you and checks you out at 11 o'clock at night, it's their first time getting to know you. So,
Mm-hmm.
you still have to pay a little bit of attention to the first impression that you make. And the sum total of what Gary's talking about, website about them, not about you, not about ego, everything else, it's all pointing to make the best first impression that you can with Google as well, because that person has never seen you before. Um, and it matters. It all really matters. Cool. Really good stuff, Gary. Very, very good stuff. A couple of wrap up questions because we like to try to keep it bite sized here in Practice Care. First question is there anything you think I should have asked you that our audience should hear about, but I just didn't think to ask you?
Yeah, I would mention one thing
Yeah.
that I think is something that I've seen as an emerging trend:
Mm-hmm.
direct mail.
Really? Old is new again? One of those?
Well, I do a lot of direct mail for dental practices.
Hmm.
And what I find is that as people get less and less mail in their mailbox,
Mm-hmm.
when you send something to them, it gets paid attention to more. And for example, I'll do an Invisalign promotional postcard for a client. They'll have somebody stick it on their refrigerator for 6 months and then they come in.
Mm-hmm.
They hold on to it for when they need it.
Mm-hmm.
And the results are surprisingly good. And it's
Yeah.
pretty affordable. There's a lot of affordable solutions like an every door direct mail campaign is
Hmm.
obviously is a lot less expensive because you're sending to, let's say, a neighborhood. So it's not going
Right.
specifically to a person. So it's something to really think about and consider. And given your geographic area, that can be very helpful to you. So it's something to look into.
And one thing you can do is just to tie it back to websites is you can put uh, a unique website link or just your homepage or a QR code, and then you can drive traffic to your website, which just made Google happier. And now these two different marketing tactics, website and direct mail, kind of
Mhm.
tie in as one.
Yep.
Cool.
I just delivered one today to a client where they have a QR code where you snap it on the postcard, it takes you to your phone, and you can view your Invisalign smile by taking a selfie
Interesting.
because it's tied to Invisalign to their Invisalign account. So somebody gets the postcard, they take the selfie, they know it came from the postcard. Boom,
Hmm.
boom, boom. It goes full circle. So yeah, there's a huge opportunity there, I think,
Yeah.
for people
Yeah.
that you
And
may not have thought about. But yeah, direct
yeah.
mail, I would say, is definitely not dead. And it works, I think, very good in a business to consumer environment in the dental area.
Right. And just one point to make there. If you're hearing this and you roll your eyes going, oh, I hate getting direct mail. Well, then don't mail it to yourself, your own campaign. Think about the people you're trying to attract. And
Yeah.
um, cool. So, and then the other question is, so we've caught somebody's attention talking about their website. Maybe they're thinking about, I've been sitting on my website for a while and I should do something. Are there a couple of tangible steps you'd recommend that they take that they could start doing as soon as they're done, really practical stuff that they could start doing as soon as they're done listening to us with regards to their website?
Well, they might want to take a look at their website and they may want someone else to look at it. So
Mm,
create your own little focus group. Have a friend, have a someone that can give you an honest assessment and they may tell you a couple of things and
hmm.
see if you're okay with and see what you can learn from it. I think that would be really useful. And the other thing I would really suggest, and this happens a lot, is I my cousin's brother's nephew's uncle does websites.
Hmm.
And and he told me I should do this. So I had him go in and I'm going to have him do this and I'm going to have him do that. Um, One of the things I would suggest is to really think about that from a professional standpoint. And I'm not saying you'd have to use me,
Hmm.
although it would be great. But I would say talk to a professional that does some of this work, because it's important to kind of get an understanding and maybe like when you're looking for a doctor, maybe get multiple
Yeah.
opinions, and see what one recommends versus another, because I think if you don't have a professional, reliable person, you can maybe do yourself more damage than good.
Yeah. I hear this sometimes. We both hear this sometimes. And I always think, in what other part of your life would you pay money for something that's important to you to somebody with a profile like that? Like, I don't know, let's say you needed to redo your waiting room in your
Mhm.
practice, and your mother's cousins laid carpet a couple times. Oh, we'll have them do it. Would you really? Would you really? Or would you maybe have somebody who's done it a few more times? It's kind of the same thing here. And you're right, get multiple quotes and check the experience. But yes, you and I are biased on this, but look to professionals. Well, cool, Gary. Thank you so much for coming on. It's really practical stuff, but it's really important stuff. Your website's your front page. It's the first thing that most people see. Why wouldn't you want it to be attractive? And yet you and I both see examples of just, you know, horror stories of why on earth would anybody call that practice up based on what they see here. So
Mhm.
really, really useful stuff. We're going to put all your contact information in the show notes for this episode so that anybody who wants to get a hold of you can do so. And a couple of points before we wrap up. First, if you own a practice and you've got an experience with the business side of your practice that you think others would benefit from, or if you're someone like Gary and I, we service private practices, same bit, you've got experience you think others would benefit from, We really want you to come on Practice Care and tell the world about it. In Gary's show notes and in every episode show notes, there's instructions. It's a link, a couple of questions. Tell us what's on your mind so that we can get you scheduled as soon as possible. And finally, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Practice Care on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks very much. And until next time.